Will you look at that? I finally found a use for the flathead screwdriver bit.
Hey guys, how goes? Martin here. I've got Gandalf's 5S GTE engine dropped for all this powder coating. I was hoping to have it all back together already, but as usual, things are a little bit behind. Making good progress though.
For this video, the goal is going to be to start with that ugly little spud in the catch can, maybe spruce it up a bit, then do the custom alternator bracket, fuel rail brackets, can gears, and work our way up to the custom front grille. The overall color scheme for things in the engine bay is to have certain items white to tie to the car's white exterior, some items will be a shade or shades of aqua this time instead of blue, and then decide on one other feature color which will draw together a few other items in that color realm. Unlike paint, with powder coating, you can't use body filler to fill imperfections because powder won't stick to it, and it has to withstand the 400 degrees Fahrenheit baking process. So I'm trying out high temp lab metal. It settles fairly quickly in the can and needs to be mixed thoroughly, and even some special thinner added if it's too thick. A flathead bit in a drill works great to lift that heavy goop off the bottom. It needs to be about the consistency of refrigerated syrup, and it will slowly flow and act a bit like a self-leveler. This poses a challenge for parts that are rounded, like this catch can, and it may need to be applied in several sessions because the area in question needs to face upwards for about an hour to allow the lab metal to set up and stop flowing. Then as long as you don't disturb it, you can move on to your next section that needs it. If you're having trouble with a particularly curvy part, you can create a donut out of duct tape with the sticky side out and make a little dam around the area, but don't go thicker than about maybe an 1/8 of an inch or 3/16 of an inch at a time. All areas need to room temperature cure for minimum 24 hours. Then they need to be baked for an hour at 425 degrees Fahrenheit. Then you can begin the sanding. If you still find a few spots that need attention, you have to repeat this process. As you can imagine, this takes some patience. I sanded with fairly rough grit to get the main shape of the area close, and then moved to 120, 220, 320, etc. The openings of the catch can are taped off with high temp tape. I'm starting with the top because it has the most nooks and crannies that can create what are called Faraday cage areas, which are harder to coat because of the resistance to attraction. And if we do the easy areas first, we end up being too thick there by the time that we get the tougher to reach areas done. The color I've decided to try is called Moonlight Teal. It belongs to a family of top coat powders that first require this chrome layer or polished aluminum or chrome type powder coat layer underneath to create the intended translucent metallic nature of the color. Because of the patchy look of the lab metal areas, my powder coating adventures begin with a layer of Super Chrome 2. The chrome powder looks like a dark charcoal color, and I kept going until the shade was consistent overall. Powder coat is quite a thin layer, so imperfections will show. This catch can is not a particularly pretty piece, one of my first TIG welding projects ever, but its function and fit are excellent, and only the top of it is visible, so I can afford to leave some imperfections on the lower portion. They will be impossible to see. It's oven time. I cannot stop looking. Fingers crossed.
So it's been in for about 10 minutes. I'm curious as to what temperature it has reached in 10 minutes. It's a pretty solid aluminum piece, but I'm still curious. So I'm going to do a quick check with this guy. 224 degrees. You can see that it's beginning to get shiny and glossier looking. And it was all just looking kind of charcoal when we finished the powder coating in the booth. So, okay, it's been about 25 minutes. I'm going to do another quick temperature check. This oven can go a lot hotter than we want. 388, a little cooler on the top. Getting there, almost there. Okay, so the part is at temperature, and it's only got about 2 or 3 minutes left to go, and then we'll shut it down.
And here we have it, the first powder coat result. I think the actual powder coating went very well. I see some imperfections because it needed some more filling and sanding, but this is just a chrome underlayer. We are going to go fairly thick and dark over top with the Moonlight Teal. So next, let's test out the Moonlight Teal on these chrome lug nuts. Maybe we learned something that we can apply to the catch can. A number of decisions need to be made depending on how the powder coating items turn out, how the colors look, to clear or not to clear, etc. Starting with some of the less visible parts, the less pretty but extremely functional parts, to allow for learning, make a few mistakes perhaps, and work up to the big feature items like the valve cover. Okay, the lug nuts turned out really well. I like this color. The rotating bearing tool is a complete success. It made it easy, the color is consistent, and no variation between the lug nuts. I might try and go even thicker on the catch can. Start with the top again, that worked well. I'm aiming for consistency here. I don't want any of the chrome shiny parts showing through anywhere, just a solid blue powder color. Bake it up, and here we go. First part done. It turned out better than I expected. I only really care about the top, but I'm happy with the whole thing. The dark color like this should actually kind of disappear a bit in the engine bay, at least as far as what I have in my imagination. Next, I tried a slightly thinner layer of moonlight teal on the alternator bracket that wasn't polished or chromed, and it still turned out quite nice, just not quite as deep. Actually, a bit warmer. Of course, we always have to weigh this piece, 1,259 grams, or about 2 3/4 pounds. Some of you might note that it began as a Racer X part, which started out as 2 pieces, but I fortified it with 1/2-inch aluminum and turned it back into a 1-piece bracket. Based on the results from the very functional alternator bracket, I did the fuel rail mounts the same way, and then the coolant neck. No chrome layer, just cleaned very well with denatured alcohol. For this particular engine bay plan, I want the aqua shades to be related, complementary, but they don't have to be identical shades. If all goes well, the eye will be drawn to only a particular couple of striking aqua pieces. This isn't one of them. The ATS adjustable cam gear centers were already polished and got a darker moonlight teal coating similar to the catch can.
Once you start powder coating, you can't stop. You have to powder coat everything. It's just like welding. If you're not powder coating something, you're welding something, or then you're powder coating something that you just welded. There's no end. This is a base for it's going to be a really nice garage chair. I rescued it. It needs welding and powder coating. I'm going to leave this chrome actually, that part.
Now I have somewhere to sit and contemplate the upcoming white pieces, which will, however, all be the identical color and finish. So on to the first white item, the custom front grille, which protects Gandalf's air-to-water heat exchanger, starting with the fasteners for the perforated stainless sections. But what white to choose? There are thousands. Now, confession time. Have you ever bought something purely just for the name? Okay, whoa, I just heard screams of Gucci and Toyota and Turbo, and that's totally not what I meant. Disastrous question, I apologize. I'm referring to a color. I bought a color purely because of its name. I was looking through all the whites, and then I saw it, and it had me. I was in trouble. Are you ready? Pearlized violet. What? I was so confused. It looked white on the website. It was definitely in the white section, but I was so intrigued by the name, Pearlized Violet. So I dropped the $50 and bought a few pounds of it. So the fasteners and grille are sandblasted and prepped with denatured alcohol. It's time to test Pearlized Violet on the fasteners, and it should show enough of the color on the mounting plate to see what it is and make a decision. It's going on looking like a white powder. That's a good sign. Carefully flip it over and do the underside for the threads. Then pop it in the oven and see what it does when it flows out. In the meantime, prepping the copper rack and the grill rather presumptuously. So I just had a peek in the oven to see what the Pearlized Violet actually looks like. And it is, it's definitely a white, which is good. Didn't want it to go like do something weird, go all pink or something. So I think we're good. I think I'm gonna go for it. Come on, as if there really was a choice. It's Pearlized Violet, after all. This cheap gun works more consistently when it's angled slightly downwards, but I think I've gotten used to its quirks. It seems to like it when the hopper is at least a third full of powder. This impromptu light rack of mine is all LED bulbs and helps me see the white powder consistency. I'm nervous. Nothing like learning on camera. Bake it up, and here it is. It's definitely a bright white, so a win there. I'll show you guys under a few different types of light. When you start looking closer, some kind of magic happens. Here's my original initial reaction.
Color is fantastic. It's white, but from different angles it's got like a sheen that just changes color every now and then. Is that green? Is it?
Yes, indeed, there are hints of green and the occasional flash of violet. The name isn't lying. Now the question is, do we clear it or not? Will that ruin it or enhance it? So let's clear coat on the fasteners for the grill. It won't matter much, and the temporary plate I have them mounted on, although unprepped, will give us a decent tester sample. Bake that up, and I don't just like it, I love it. Whoa! The clear enhanced the pearlized violet. Remember, I didn't actually surface prep the mounting plate, so ignore the imperfections and dust in the finish. What we are looking for is the effect of the color and the clear together under various light conditions. It looks like a dazzling white one moment, then it suddenly flashes. You guessed it, violet! And I was just thinking to myself that it reminded me of northern lights with, you know, those greenish flames, and look at what these next few camera frames captured. Northern lights! See what I mean? Okay. Maybe that was just my reflection. But the greenish tinge and the violet are very real. Definitely clearing the front grille. Okay, time for another confession. I am not certain that the front grille is going to be white in the future anyway. But this is great powder coat practice under pressure. Here goes the clear layer. It goes on white looking over the existing white. Baking time. And here we are, pearlized violet with a clear. Regardless of what we decide for the future of this grille color, these results seal the deal for me. This will be the way that the white is done on the intake tube, the intercooler, and the valve cover. Pearlized violet. What a discovery. I'm still geeking out about it. It's like, how can I describe it? It's like finding a level 99 artifact in a game, like the orb of Osavox. You know, from the movie Ready Player One, the orb of Osavox. You haven't seen Ready Player One? If you somehow found yourself here watching this video and you're still listening to me, you need to see that movie. Trust me on this. Ready Player One, the orb of Osavox, pearlized violet. It all makes total sense. Anyways, grill is ready. I'll show you what it looks like on the car in the near future when I tackle another upcoming project, a really killer front splitter, and we can make the color decisions. And I love the Moonlight Teal. It will be used in a few different ways. The teal idea works well with this white pearlized violet. Next video will be powder coating a big ticket item, the 4-inch cold air intake tube. I know it's going to be adventure. I don't want to spoil anything, but I already know what happens because I'm busy working on it right now. Check out these other recent videos wherever they are. Like and subscribe. Ciao for now.